may have been a heart attack, but police in Memphis, Tennessee are also investigating the possibility that Elvis Presley's death this afternoon was caused by a drug overdose. Presley was found unconscious in his mansion at about 2:30, was pronounced dead an hour later.
Since the crowds had already begun gathering outside Baptist Hospital, the doctors decided to perform the autopsy there, rather than risk transporting the body to the morgue in the city hospital across the street. The autopsy was performed by approximately 8 doctors on the staff of Baptist Hospital, and it was, in their words, the most painstakingly complete autopsy they had ever done. Item: ABC News has learned that no immediate discovery was made of any disease or injury which could have caused Elvis's death. His heart was indeed enlarged and muscular, and there was significant blockage of the arteries. But according to 2 doctors present at the autopsy, serious heart disease was still years away for Elvis Presley. The doctors therefore decided they would tell the waiting world that Elvis had died from, quote, unknown causes, and that the investigation was continuing. But apparently acting on his own initiative, the county medical examiner, Dr. Jerry T. Francisco, who had been present at the autopsy, went before the cameras and told a much different story. Without the advice or consent from the doctors from Baptist Hospital, who had actually performed the autopsy, Dr. Francisco told the waiting world that Elvis Presley had died of a heart attack.
Results of the autopsy are that the cause of death is a cardiac arrhythmia due to undetermined causes. There are several cardiovascular diseases that are known to be present. One is a mild degree of hypertension that had been under treatment for some time, and that there was hardening of the arteries, the coronary arteries of the heart, known as coronary atherosclerosis.
Millions of people who knew the man and his music and loved it, people like me. Dr. Francisco's announcement brought almost a sigh of relief. Elvis Presley was dead, but while that was terrible, at least he had died of natural causes. At least the king had not followed in the melancholy rock and roll tradition of Janis Joplin, Jim Morrison, Jimi Hendrix, and all the others. But did Elvis really die of a heart attack? Sometimes the truth hurts. Our investigation indicates he did not. We'll tell you the real story of how and why he died after this.
Elvis Presley's death 2 years ago shocked and saddened millions of Elvis fans. The public was told that his death was caused by heart attack. But almost from the moment he died, rumors began spreading about Elvis Presley's problems with drugs and about what really might have killed him. Geraldo Rivera has completed an extensive investigation of the death of Elvis Presley and the mystery surrounding it. Geraldo, it seems that you may have located the key to the mystery.
The key to the mystery is the Shelby County medical examiner, Dr. Jerry T. Francisco, and if we had his help, we could have cracked this case months ago, but we did not. He consistently refused to be interviewed by us. Claiming that the information is confidential, he has also refused to make public the autopsy results that would lay to rest once and forever the controversy over how and why Elvis Presley died. In order to obtain those results, we filed a lawsuit against Dr. Francisco, the medical examiner. Our motives are simple. Based on the evidence you're about to see, we believe there's been a cover-up. Item: as far as we can determine, no member of the staff of Baptist Hospital, including Dr. Eric Muirhead, the internationally known pathologist who headed the autopsy team, has ever agreed with Dr. Francisco, the medical examiner's conclusions. They have never said that Elvis died of natural causes. Maurice Elliott, spokesman for Baptist Hospital.
We never confirmed them, and we were not able to disagree with them either because of the fact that we are required to maintain the confidentiality of these records as a private patient as they now stand.
Leading inevitably, Mr. Elliott, to speculation that the staff of Baptist Hospital arrived at a different conclusion than the staff of the medical examiner's office.
Well, yes, obviously that speculation does exist, but there's just no way we can comment on it or put it to rest, really, and still maintain our obligation to respect the confidentiality or to maintain the confidentiality of the information.
But there is one doctor who was present at the autopsy who did consent to talk with us on the record. His name is Noel Florendo, and he was an assistant to Dr. Muirhead. Dr. Florendo was called in on the autopsy because he's an expert in the use of the electron microscope. Working now at another hospital in Memphis, Dr. Florendo had the courage to tell us what really happened in the autopsy room. Remember, Dr. Francisco is the Shelby County medical examiner who announced Elvis had died of a heart attack. But Dr. Muirhead is the man who actually supervised the autopsy. Dr. Florinda, in your medical judgment, was there any evidence that Elvis Presley died of a heart attack?
From what I saw grossly and from what my limited judgment was at that particular time, there was no gross evidence of a heart attack.
There was no gross evidence of a heart attack?
No gross evidence of a heart attack.
Were you surprised by Dr. Francisco's announcement that he had died of cardiac arrhythmia?
Personally, yes, I was surprised.
What is cardiac arrhythmia?
Cardiac arrhythmia, best explained, is an irregularity in the heartbeat sufficiently irregular enough to cause death.
And in Elvis Presley's case?
I could not find any morphological evidence of that, and indeed, I do not think there is any morphological evidence grossly to substantiate cardiac arrhythmia.
So in your opinion, he did not die of a heart attack?
In my opinion, I did not see any evidence of a heart attack morphologically.
Morphologically meaning?
Meaning there was no gross evidence of a heart attack.
I understand that you agree with Dr. Muirhead's conclusions.
Yes, I agree with Dr. Muirhead's conclusions.
And those conclusions being?
Polypharmacy.
That Elvis Presley died of the interaction of several drugs.
Most probably, yes.
Despite the contention by many officials in Memphis that Elvis Presley died of, quote, natural causes, that contention is disputed by scientific evidence uncovered here at the Bioscience Laboratories in Los Angeles. Bioscience was one of the 3 outside laboratories called in to help analyze the Presley autopsy. Their findings are depressing. According to those findings, at the time of his death, Elvis Presley was apparently abusing many different drugs. Bioscience was called in because it has some of the most advanced and sophisticated equipment available anywhere in the country. For almost 2 months, its technicians carefully analyzed the tissue samples for the autopsy being prepared in Memphis. ABC News obtained a copy of the Bioscience test results. The data revealed the following narcotic drugs in the body of Elvis Aaron Presley: codeine, morphine, methaqualone, also known as Quaaludes, Valium, Valmid, Placidil, Nembutal, phenobarbital, pentobarbital, and butabarbital. All of them are so-called downers, central nervous system depressants. Usually taken to bring on relaxation and sleep, the drugs are often abused. Several are addictive. The list of drugs found in Elvis Presley's body is certainly shocking enough. But in all likelihood, even that doesn't represent the whole extent of his drug abuse problem. ABC News has learned that shortly after Elvis's body was brought here to Baptist Memorial Hospital, the contents of his stomach were pumped out. And although the contents of the stomach are generally considered of vital importance in pinpointing the cause of death, they were destroyed in this case without ever having been analyzed. Given all we know now about Elvis Presley's drug abuse problem, it's reasonable to assume that vital evidence was therefore destroyed. Evidence of whatever drugs Elvis had taken shortly before he died. What we've so far been unable to determine is whether that evidence was destroyed intentionally or merely through neglect. In October of 1977, 2 months after Elvis was found dead in his bathroom at Graceland, word of the drugs found began leaking to the newspapers in Memphis. To quiet the spreading rumors, Dr. Jerry T. Francisco held another press conference.
Shelby County medical examiner Dr. Jerry Francisco told reporters that the conclusion of his 2-month autopsy into the death of Elvis Presley is that the entertainer died of a heart attack and that drugs were not a contributing factor.
The cause of death has been ascribed to hypertensive heart disease and coronary artery heart disease as a contributory factor.